Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today we've got the new Euripides Core Box for Malifaux. Now this was a hard one to get a hold of. It took quite some time. First premiered at Gen Con and then quickly sold out and then sold out online, but finally got a hold of it. So what is Euripides besides a famous Greek playwright, if I remember my Greek dramatists correctly, and I'm pretty sure on that. So you have Euripides here. You have a new Primordial Magic as well. You've got Foon, which I think is his totem, and then you've got these gigants. So it doesn't look too big, right? Well, wait till we actually unload the box. Because this bears mentioning is that with the exception of the Primordial Magic, the entire crew is on 50mm bases. So I'm really curious about how these guys play. Sadly, Euripides does not have any real relation to his actual namesake, but that's okay. So let's take a look here. One half of this is all Foon parts, and then the other half of this sprue is all Euripides parts. So I'm going to start with Euripides. He is the master after all. And then the bulk of this, we have just this little spot right here is the Primordial Magic, and then the rest is all gigants. So interesting. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Let's start with Euripides, shall we? Let's pop off his parts and we'll take a closer look. So here we have Euripides pieces all laid out. We have the two main body pieces right here. You'll notice these big cavities on his back. That's where these nice, thin, spiky, bony protrusions are all going to attach. So obviously this one's going to go right here. And the little one is going to, I'm assuming, if I can figure out how it's going to fit in there. Maybe that's not the right one. There are 3 of these, by the way. There we go. Okay. Well, we're 2 for 3 so far, and maybe the third one's going to go in the front somewhere. We'll figure that out. So I'm thinking the first thing we should do here is get this body glued together, which looks something like that. And then we're going to have to figure out where the other parts are all going to go. So this looks like the loincloth right here. That's just going to slot in like such. And then the feet have different keyed in parts. So you can see here one leg has the nice chunk. That's going to slot in right there on the left. And then this one has a plug that's going to push in on the right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll find out where that third spiky bit goes, and then we'll see how the arms go, because he has this kind of sash draped over his arm there. And we'll probably go ahead and attach this arm as well, because it doesn't look like it does a whole lot. And sticking that in there, I just noticed, that seems to be where the third spiky part is going to go. Let's just double check to make sure. Can I do it on camera, and can I do it correctly? The answer is no. Yeah, so it's going to go like that. Except I need to trim it down, it looks like. All right, time to build it. So we have the bulk of Euripides all finished up here. As you can see, we do have a little bit of work still. Obviously the head, that's going to be probably the last piece that I glue on and the easiest. But I wanted to talk about the arms. So you have this interesting slot right here. The arm itself is going to slot in pretty easily, like so. But the problem is you're going to need to glue the rest of his toga cloak thingy together first. So it's got a little peg right there. Line it all up. It's going to attach like so. Clean it better than I did. You're going to glue the hand. There's a nice flat part. The flat part just slides on in like that, and then you're good to go. Once you've got that attached, you're going to have this nice empty gap right here. If I can get it on the camera. Like so. Upon which you will put this little draped piece on there, and you're going to want to really jam that in there so it is nice and smooth, and you'll be good to go. Your Euripides will be finished. So let's do just that. So there you have the finished Euripides, despite needing a little help from his friend there. You can see he does a good job of filling in that 50mm base. Not the largest Malifaux figure we've encountered yet, but as far as I can think off the top of my head, he's probably the largest master. So with him done, it's going to be time for Foon. Foon is just as many parts. I think he's 13 to Euripides' 14 pieces, and we will get them out of the way and show you those parts in just a moment. So here's Foon's parts all laid out. His feet, legs, torso, lower torso, upper torso, head, arms, and an extra bit of chain that I got to figure out how that all goes together. I'm going to start with the body, and then we'll add the legs. We'll see where we go from there. Well, we built the top half of the torso, and I wanted to point out a couple things. I'm going to go ahead and attach the head. The head's quite simple, just two-piece, top and bottom like that. Get it attached there. Want to make sure you smush it together so you get those seam lines out of the way. On the bottom torso, upon closer inspection, you actually need to attach the legs before you put the front of the loincloth on. You'll notice there's a little plug in here. What you're going to want to do first is grab that right leg, and you'll notice there's a hole there. It lines up right there perfectly. If my thumb wasn't in the way. There we go. Perhaps. Yes. Okay. And it's going to make it a nice little lodge there. What you're going to do is then take the left leg, and it's just going to slide up right next to it. And you can see there how they all kind of go together. And finally then, with the legs in place, you'll notice that the front of the loincloth has a nice big piece jutting out, and it's just going to kind of key in, and everything is going to work together wonderfully and perfectly in harmony, right? Right. Actually, it should if you do it correctly and you really do trim down all that extra excess plastic that could get in the way. And then you should have the teeth and the little stitches there all kind of line up together as well. On the feet themselves, you'll notice that you really can't get them too mixed up because one has a hole and the other has a plug. So they don't go like that, so shouldn't be too complicated there. And then we'll play with his arms once his body is all put together here. Here you can see Foon is almost done. It's just a matter of getting his arms attached, and they're actually not that bad. So what you're going to want to do is this chain needs to come across the front, and then the meat hook arm is extending back. And then you'll notice there's a little plug right here. That's where the rest of the chain, if I can find the spot now, is going to go, because that's where the rest of his hand is. It may not be the best in focus, but just like that, okay? Trust me. Finally, the other arm is going to be lunging forward like so, and then you're going to just put some glue there and attach the two pieces, and voila, Foon will be finished, and I'll show you what I mean in just a sec. There you have it. We got Foon all finished, and he can even stand up on his own, unlike his master. He may be a bit of a gooey mess and in need of cleanup, but he's definitely coming along nicely. So, again, just with a regular Marine. I don't know where my Malifaux guys are. They're somewhere else at the moment. We'll get them on screen before this is all done, just so you can get an idea. And with Euripides next to him, they're big boys. All right, let's do the Primordial Magic next, just because it's small and hopefully easy and hopefully better than the original. Here are the parts for the Primordial Magic, and while it does look a little bit simplistic compared to the amount of parts that our master and his totem or henchman or whatever had here, looks can be deceiving, and I'm probably going to nominate the Primordial Magic for the most Malifaux model of this box. Yeah, I know it's all Malifaux, but you know what I mean in terms of just wacky building it. So what you've got in front of you is you've got 4 head parts. You've got the top of the head, which has all of these teeny tiny little eyes. That's just going to pop onto these notches. That's where the eyes all go. Can I put it together the right way first time? Of course not. It's going to sit like that, and you can kind of see where the eyes are. They're very tiny. You're going to have both the top and the bottom of the jaw like so, and there will be a little hole inside. I know it's hard to see because of the shadows, but that's where the tongue is going to go, despite my gluey fingers. So it looks like the tongue kind of lashes out to the side. I'm going to play around with that, and I'll show you what that looks like once I've got that figured out. The body itself is pretty simple. You're just going to plug the head on top, and then you have the fun of trying to figure out where everything is going to go. You've got these 4 swirly energy bits that are going to go around the base. I'm going to attempt to figure that out after I've got the body attached. And I don't 100% know. Yeah, it's going to go like that. I think. Yes. Okay. So we figured out which way the body is going to go. So now we're just going to have to figure out where all those pieces actually are supposed to go. I'm going to play around with that. We're going to get the head glued together, and we will figure out just what's going on with our Primordial Magic friend here. Progress has been made on the Primordial Magic. So I actually figured out the first of these twisty flames here. It's got the largest, flattest base. The next one we figured out was this one right here. It has a very thin footprint, and that's actually going to go in the very front of it. I'm going to wait and do that in a moment. The next two have this long, curved footprint that's going to go like this. You glue that one, although I would recommend you glue this guy. He's got this weird skinny one, kind of L-shaped down there. And that's going to go in first, like such. You put this one in next, and then that one. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. As expected, this was the most Malifaux model in the set. I actually have no idea what I'm doing with these little flames, but it works. It's a mess. I'm going to clean it up, but yeah. I know at least this one goes there, that one goes there, and we're just going to call it a day on this because I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in the big picture. And with that said, we are halfway through the crew. Time for the Gigants. Gigantes, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to start with this guy down here just because he has all his parts on camera, and it looks like he's got a boulder to throw. So how many parts here? 4, 6, 8, 9 parts. Not too bad. We have the front and back of the torso, the hand that's going to attach, I'm assuming, right there. And actually, I don't think we need to even really bother showing a building of it. It's all right here. I'm not going to cut it out. I'm just going to show you what it looks like all put together. Here's the first of our Gigants. I didn't realize his foot was kicking up at first. He's still pretty big. Obviously, he's going to go in that 50mm base. So there is at least a good sense of dynamicism here. I'm not a big fan of his face, though. It's very shallow details, and I'm worried that you're not going to really be able to see what's going on there once I start painting. It's very, very light details on his teeth and the interior of his mouth. Hopefully, it doesn't have too many issues there. His right arm did not want to connect as nicely as it probably should have, but that's nothing a little bit of extra glue and green stuff can't fix up before we actually paint him. So overall, about the same size. A little bit smaller, I guess, than Euripides, but they're big dudes. So, time for 2 and 3. I'm just going to go ahead again. They don't look like they're going to be super complicated. You just have the back of the torso here, attach that. The loincloth maybe, yep, is going to go in the front. I would probably glue in the legs. One's here, and I'm not sure where the other one is. There. And we'll go from there and see how it goes. Now we got Gigant number 2 done. So, suggestions here. Try to get everything filed down as nice and neat as you can in that shoulder area because it's quite painful trying to put him together after that. His loincloth, I would suggest you put in before attaching the left leg because by putting the loincloth first, you make a nice spot for the leg to slot in. Other than that, he's pretty straightforward, and you might want to make sure you get a lot less glue everywhere than I do. But that's me, and I love making a mess with these models, so they're just happy dancing giant monsters. So, time for number 3. Let's take a look real quick at the sprue. What are we going to be expecting? More of the same. This guy is in more of a squat, and he's ready to throw the rock here in his left arm. So I think he's actually the least amount of parts of all 3 Gigants. So that will be appealing. Let's get him built. And behold, the last of our Gigants. And he was probably, like I said, the easiest one. He just really needed to have the torso glued, and then it was just plug the limbs and the loincloth in. He thankfully, most of his limbs already had, like his legs had the feet attached, his arms had the hands attached. There wasn't a whole lot in terms of building him actually. And with his friends all hanging around, we have completed the Euripides Crew box. I haven't glued Fool or Euripides themselves yet, just because they're going to need some work underneath those loincloths of theirs. So Euripides doesn't really want to stand up on his own yet. We're just going to have him hunch over like that. Maybe we can have his buddy here give him a helping hand. Isn't that sweet? Look at him holding hands there. So, grabbing an actual Malifaux model to get you a sense of scale here. You can see that while they're big, they're not super ultra gigantic. They're not Groot slaying size. They're not Lord Chompy Bit size, but they're definitely big models. Did they really need to be on 50 millimeters? I guess. I mean, looking at the Gigants themselves, I think you might have been able to get away with them on 40 millimeters, but they're pretty large. So I feel like this is going to be a fun crew to play. They're not as big either as the Cyclopses, which a lot of people seem to be pairing them up with, but as is the case with just about every single Neverborn release for Malifaux, you really can get a lot of cross-play, I think, with these guys. I mean, you can use them as demons in some other game, just big trolls, ogres, what have you, all depending upon what kind of a paint job you give them as well. Myself, as tempted as I am to paint them all red, I'm probably going to go with a greenish gray for their skin, because that's what looks like they've got on the cards. Of course, it would probably help if we open the cards to take a better look. I'm quite curious to see how they have the Primordial Magic painted or colored up. It's a rotting color. Okay, that's not very helpful. So my thought is I'm going to probably paint them up like my Flesh Eater Quartz models, because honestly they look kind of ghoulish anyways, and with those Rune Wars guys I picked up, I think they might make some nice proxy Crypt Horror courtiers, whatever they're called, the big things. They're on the 50 millimeter bases after all, so if you want yourself a nice cheap warband for Warcry while you're at it, you might want to check out the Euripides Core Box. So you can not only use them, for example, as what they're supposed to be used for in Malifaux, but you might have a nice little Flesh Eater Quartz stand-in Warcry as well. So I'm kind of pleased with that discovery, especially looking at those paint jobs. So with that said, I'm going to go get these guys started painting, because it looks like I can probably get them done pretty quickly, and I will say my fond farewells. This is High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities of Miniatures saying see y'all later, and we'll be back with more. Bye-bye.